Hey, Mike, how do you feel about our guest tonight?
Bon.
Bon? You are watching Best of Trois.
Awesome. Intense.
Hello and welcome to Best of Three, the weekly FGC talk show brought to you by the Daily Dot. Today we're going to shake things up a little bit because our guest is coming to us live from France, and it's 1 o'clock in the morning over there. So please help me in welcoming Valentin ValMaster Petit. Valentin, are you there, buddy?
Yeah. Hi. Thank you for your invitation. Thank you.
Thank you very much for accepting. We're really happy to have you on. You're our first, I think, European guest that we've had on the show. We're very excited to have you on because, of course, you recently qualified for the Capcom Cup. And we're very excited about that. So we're going to talk to you about the Capcom Cup. We're going to talk to you about the Capcom Pro Tour. We're going to talk to you about Team YP. And we're also going to talk to you about, of course, Street Fighter V in that order. So... Again, thank you very much for joining us. And let's start off with this question right here. How do you feel about what the Capcom Pro Tour has done for the Street Fighter scene?
I didn't think I will be qualified for Capcom Cup this year because I was very, very late this year. I didn't participate to all tournaments this year. There was DreamHack or other tournament at the beginning of the year, and I didn't participate. I wasn't very confident, so I just won my points on the month of September with there was EGX and there was another tournament. It was in Amsterdam, the Red Fight District. Yeah, I won some points there, and after I was around maybe 140 points, and it was very, very difficult to stay on the list. So I was very, very scared about to not qualify on Capcom Cup. But well, I was just praying during the Canada Cup, that Pierre Barrog and Michel lose. So I have been lucky this year.
The Capcom Cup has been instrumental in making you a more well-known player. Do you think that the Capcom Cup has been really good for scenes outside of America and Japan, like France?
Yeah, I think it's a very good idea to create this tournament because it's like the biggest tournament of the year. There is Evo. Okay, Evo is the biggest tournament of the year, but everything can come with pay and come. You have 2,000 players, but in Capcom Cup, you have the best player of the world, like Infiltration, Shen, or the best player or the best Japanese player. So that's very, very hard tournament to win. So that makes a difference. But I'm really happy that I continue to do this tournament, and they are going to increase, I think, the show.
Now, I find it hilarious that you're saying that you were watching Canada Cup and just praying that Misei and Balrog would not qualify. You got your wish. Now that you've qualified, are you excited, or are you relieved, or are you nervous that now you actually have to show up and do work?
I'm really excited. I want to do the same performance at least than the last year because I did top 8 and I was very happy. I wanted to do more, but when you go in loser bracket in your first match, it's very hard to come back because you have to face a lot of strong players, so it's very hard.
Now, interesting to note is that you lost to Shen first round of Capcom Cup last year, and then you lost to Shen again at the Red Bull Kumite. Current standings have you playing Shen first round again at the Capcom Cup. Do you have anything prepared for him?
I'm a little bit scared of him because I didn't want to play him because I don't like to play him in tournament because you don't know against what is the character he's going to choose. In general, he picks Poison against me now because it's a bad matchup for Chun-Li. But last time we played together, it was more close. It was very close. So we played again at Evo. I won the first 2-5. And I don't know if he's going to stay on Poison or if he's going to switch of characters. So I don't like to play the player like Infiltration or Xian because they have a lot of character and they are very good with all of them. So that's not easy. You for preparing at home, it's not easy. You in your head you are he's going to play again, maybe Elena, Poison, Guy. So it's too many characters.
So you've used Elena before as well. Of course, people know you for your Chun-Li, but you've used Elena. I was talking to you before the interview, and you mentioned that Street Fighter 4 was your first fighting game. You did not have a fighting game background, which I thought was interesting, especially when you consider your character choice, Chun-Li, because Chun-Li is more associated with people who've been playing Street Fighter for a lot longer than that. What made you gravitate towards Chun-Li?
I don't know. It's like on Tekken. Every time I prefer Asian girl on fighting game, but not on real life. Just on fighting game. I don't know. It's like that. It's like Chow Yu on Tekken. I prefer this character. I don't know. I couldn't explain that.
So but then in that list now you could have Sakura. What other cute little Asian girls are in that fighting game?
Yeah. That's true. I would like to play Elena, but I'm not very good with her, and I don't have enough time to play another character with Johnny. But in general, I prefer play girls in fighting games. I don't know.
Now, so you qualified for the Capcom Cup, but it was via points and not by winning a premier event. Does that affect you in any way, shape, or form? Do you think that should mean anything? Or, hey, I qualified, it doesn't matter how I got in there, I got in.
It doesn't make a difference. There's no difference because last year I won a premier tournament in Birmingham. It doesn't make a difference with this year because the one difference that you can find is, I was in maybe at the 30th place, and so I was going to play against someone who is in the top 5 of the list.
Mm-hmm.
So now it's Xian again. But if you have more points, you are going to play against someone who have less points. And in general, this is someone who is less strong. So you have more chance. When you are in the top 5, you have more chance to win your first one. This year, this is going to be hard for me because I am in the last part of the list, so it's not easy.
You mentioned being on the last part of the list, and you've mentioned that Xian is a name and as well as Infiltration. Is there anybody else that you would not like to play or that you're not yet prepared for or have not even played?
The worst player for me could be Mago, I think. Not his Feilong. I think against his Feilong, I'm okay. I can beat him. But he's young. He's very, very strong. And in Europe, we are not prepared against young. I played against him at Red Bull Kumite in free play, and he destroyed me. He beat Luffy too. That's too hard for us. That's a bad matchup for us, and we don't know the matchup.
Well, then the flip question is, who do you know you can beat for sure? Who are you not scared of?
I think Gakt, because I really know the matchup Feilong, and the matchup is for me. Bonchan, I think I can beat Bonchan too, because I'm very, very confident about this matchup. Sagat is okay for me. After who I could beat, maybe Justin Wong if he picks. I don't know who he's going to pick against me. Maybe Rufus, maybe Rose, I don't know. But I think I could beat him again. European players too, I could beat them. There is Luffy and Problemix. After there is a lot of players that I never played, so I couldn't say I'm going to beat him or I'm not going to beat him. I don't have the enough experience against them.
Do you prepare specifically for the players that you have not yet played against? Do you watch their videos? Is there a plan?
Yeah. I'm going to watch a lot of videos for prepare. Yeah, this is the most important. Yeah, I would like to beat Xian first, because if I don't beat him, this is going to, like I mentioned it will be very hard for me to come back in loser bracket, because after I don't know if it was a true bracket on Twitter, but after maybe I have Dacho or Nemo, so it will be very hard for me.
But I mean, that's the nature of it, right? Like, this is probably the most stacked tournament that has ever been, to a degree, especially if you look at it through the season, right? we've been literally refining it down to the most efficient top of the charts players. So I mean, there's no way you're going to have an easy route, but you're saying there's potentially an easier route. You mentioned Bonchan, and I wanted to bring that up because Red Bull, right? You were sponsored by Red Bull, weren't you? Briefly.
I could be sponsored by Red Bull. In fact, they invite me to Evo. They help me to go at Evo. This is thanks to them that I go there. And I say thank you to them for that because it was a very good experience. And this is thanks to them. But I choose to go with my team YP now.
Excellent. Now, I'm glad you bring that up because that's our next topic. We're still talking about the Capcom Pro Tour. Capcom has not wanted to use the tag Team YP. Now, it's important to make a distinction that it's not Team YouPorn, it's Team YP. And that's something very deliberate. But that being said, it is, of course, associated with YouPorn. There was a quote on the press release when you were signed by a Brad Burns, the vice president of YouPorn, and he said, "We are super pumped about adding ValMaster to our growing team." Of course, the other players on there are Filipino Man, and they also have a Smash player and a couple. I think they have a Dota team too. But there's an unfortunate controversy around it now, and it seems as if Team YP is trying to do things right.
Yeah.
How do you feel about the whole thing, and what's happening? I mean, you probably have more knowledge of it than we do. Why haven't they been using your name or the tag?
More what? Sorry.
You probably have more information than we do. My question is, why aren't they using Team YP? What have they told you?
About Capcom, you know?
Mm-hmm.
We didn't talk with Capcom yet. So you make reference about the tweet.
Mm-hmm.
There is just one tweet, so we didn't talk with them about my jersey or the gamer tag. If I could wear my jersey, or if I could put my gamer tag YP ValMaster. I don't know yet if I could do that. But in Milan Games Week, I couldn't. For example, in Milan Games Week, they say no. So if they say no, I won't wear the jersey. I won't put my gamer tag. It doesn't matter. But I think a lot of people in chat will know that I am still in my team. So it doesn't make difference. I just would like to wear my jersey. That's important. That's very important for me. I'd like to do that. But if they say no, I couldn't. It doesn't matter.
The tweet you mentioned was one, if I'm not mistaken, I forget who did the first tweet, but the Capcom Fighters official Twitter handle as well said it's serious, and they were saying, "ValMaster, we need to talk to you about something." So you're telling me that the discussion was whether or not you can use your jersey and the tag, and you didn't come to a resolution on that. They didn't say yes or no.
No, we didn't talk with them about that again yet. So
okay,
in the future we are going to talk. I think they will make a decision about that, and we will see. Yeah.
But you say that either way, it doesn't matter, is what you're saying. People will know. But Team YP is sending you. Team YP is sponsoring you. Team YP is the reason why you're there, potentially.
And me, I'd like to wear the jersey. I'm pretty proud to be part of the team. So I will be very disappointing if I don't wear. Like Milan Games Week, I was very disappointed. But it's like that. We can do nothing. We can do something more. So
okay, now. Team YP is relatively new to the scene. Obviously, some people say they're trying to cash in on this, or maybe they have ulterior motives. I would like to hear from you. What has your experience been with this team? Do they seem like professional? Do they seem like they're trying to just cash in on this?
No, we very, very professional. In fact, I wanted to be part of a new team, and Team YP was the best team with who I could join. In fact, and they are very very professional. Yeah, and I'm very happy to be part of their team now, and I'm very happy to be with them. They are very professional, and people who are with them in the team with who I have to talk. Like I don't know if you know who is she, Claire. She is in the team YP, and we did together. The Reddit when
AMA?
everybody ask us question and we answer, and you can ask any question again. So we will answer. So no, this is a good team. This is very 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 good team. Yeah.
Well, is it true that anybody who signs with Team YP gets a premium account on youporn.com?
Everybody asks me this question. No, that's not true. That's not true.
You're getting gypped, man. Tell them you want it. We're going to move on. I mean, we've been talking a lot about the Capcom Pro Tour and about Team YP, but I'd like to get to know you a little bit better. So let's pull back a little bit. I mentioned that you told me that Street Fighter 4 was your first fighting game. But I'd like to talk about that a little bit more. How did you get started in fighting games, considering that now you're qualified for the Capcom Cup, which is something that not everybody can do?
In fact, before fighting games, I only played games like FPS, Counter-Strike, or other games like that. I played World of Warcraft, Counter-Strike, Trackmania, but not competitively, just online at home. But I was very young at this time. I started Street Fighter 4, maybe I was 15, something like that. I started the tournament at 16, I think, in Paris. There was so small tournament when we compare with now. But how did I start? This is thanks to my brother, in fact, because he's a fan of fighting games, and I wasn't. When he was talking about fighting game, I said, no, this is bullshit. Don't talk me about that. I don't like this game. And when Street Fighter 4 come out, he brings the game at home and he says, yeah, come play with me. And after, I didn't let the game. I just play again. And after I was better than him, I didn't stop. And now thanks to him, I am qualified for Capcom Cup again. Everything is thanks to him. So
That's excellent. What's your brother's name?
Jonathan.
Thank you, Jonathan.
So how do you feel about France's scene as a whole? You got a lot of strong players and multiple qualified for Capcom Cup. Do you guys practice together like all the time, or is it mostly online? What do you do?
No. If you use the truth, no. And with Luffy, we don't play a lot. I really don't play a lot. Just maybe this time I'm going to play more for Capcom Cup, but in general we don't play a lot. Just maybe 1 or 2 times by week. But we really should play more, because in Europe it's not easy to play with a lot of person. It's always the same people with who we play. It's not easy to work all the character, all the matchup. It's not like when I was in Las Vegas or San Francisco for Capcom Cup or Evo, I saw the difference between them and us, because they have a lot of people who are ready to work. There's all the character, you can practice with all the character, work all the matchup. And here, this is very complicated for if you want to work all the character like that.
Okay. Who's the best French Street Fighter 4 player?
I think it's Luffy. Yeah, it's still Luffy. Yeah.
You lost to Luffy at EGX and at Red Fight District recently.
Yeah.
What happened?
At EGX, I won Saturday and I won the winner final. And in the grand final, he comes back. Yeah, I didn't come back as him. He played very very well. I know about what he did for a win against me. He changed his way to play. He played very very well. After I beat him at Cap Top 3 where there was a tournament where there was all the best European player. I won the tournament, and he did. He took the second place. And this week, so Thursday, I'm going to play against him online for tournaments. The grand final of the VSF League. Yeah.
Okay. I'm gonna relate this to Street Fighter V actually. So you say that it's hard to get a lot of matchup practice. Are you happy that Street Fighter V is going to have a lot less characters? Do you think Street Fighter 4 just has too many matchups to learn living in somewhere like Europe?
No, I don't think there is too many matchups to work. You know, with the Street Fighter 4 comes out, there is a long time. So, you know, the matchup like Ryu, Chun-Li, Ken, everybody knows this matchup. You don't have to work a lot. See the new character like Rodento, Poison, Decapre. In Europe, you don't have a lot of this character, so it's not easy to work, and you have to find the good person for work this character. That's not easy.
Okay, so we want to move to the topic of Street Fighter V. You can correct me if I'm wrong, but as I understand it, you were one of the first pro players that said you weren't crazy about how it was looking, that it was a little rigid, maybe easy, that you didn't like the way the game makes you
maybe
play.
Not rigid. I think I don't think it's very rigid, but easy. It's easy to play. You know, it's more open for the beginner. It's an easy game to not like Street Fighter 4. Street Fighter 4 is very hard compared to Street Fighter 5. But I don't think it's easy to master, you know, the game. To be a professional player on Street Fighter 5, I don't think it's easy. But I didn't practice enough the game. I couldn't say more thing about that because I didn't play enough. I didn't practice on beta. I just did the first beta, and after I didn't play again.
But you're still excited for Street Fighter V. Once the game is out and launched and fully fleshed out, you're going to play it?
Sorry?
Once Street Fighter V does come out, you're definitely excited to play it?
Yeah, I'm excited to play. But I would like to stay on Chun-Li, but in fact, the last time I played Nekali, and I saw the difference between Chun-Li and Nekali. You know, Chun-Li is... I think this is one of the reasons that I said that last time, because Chun-Li is, if you know, you do nothing. It's always the same thing. It's a little bit boring in Street Fighter 5. It's not very fun like Street Fighter 4. You know, in Street Fighter 4, you can be offensive, defensive. You can do a lot of things. You have the combo who are very hard to do. You know, you have something more. And in Street Fighter 5, it's different. I would like to play more characters in Street Fighter 5. Maybe I would like to try Nekali, Ermika, and Zangief too. I would like to play more character, yeah.
So as someone who started with Street Fighter 4, did you enjoy unblockables or do you prefer delayed wake up? How do you think the patches have done in improving the game?
I had the delayed wake up. I had that.
Why do you hate delayed wake up?
In fact, at the beginning, they said it helps. This is going to help us, you know, the charge character like Chun-Li, Honda, but it doesn't help me. In fact, this is an energy. This is not a good thing for me, you know. It's because I have some setups and mix up, and I have to be aggressive sometimes with Chun-Li. And the daily wake up is not a good thing for me. But for other character, yes, it could be a good thing. But it's like the red focus, you know. It should be a defensive option. Sometimes it can be a defensive option. But now you see that it helps character like Yoon or Viper, because they are strong, so they didn't need to get the red focus. But I like the red focus, but daily wake up, no, I don't like that.
We had a question on Twitter from one of the best players in Texas, Hamad. He's with Team White Tower. And his question was, he asked, please ask ValMaster why unblockables make games better and how he views focus backdash. Thank you.
Yeah, I know why he says focus backdash, because I do that often with my character, like Luffy with Rose, and this player hate that when we do that. And about the unblockable, now you have the level up, so that's different than the last version. So that's okay. If you have daily wake ups, it's not really a daily wake up. You have the option now.
Excellent. Valentin, those are all the questions that we have for you. We want to thank you for coming on the show. But first, is there anything that we did not ask you about that you would like to say, even if it's a shout out?
Sorry?
Is there anything that we didn't ask you about that you'd like to mention before we say goodbye?
I just wanted to say thank you to my team because I'm really happy to be with them now. I would like to continue with them for a long time, and I hope I will. So, and I would like to say thank you to you for the interview. Thank you for the show.
Thank you very much, Valentin. We're honored to have you on the show, and good luck at the Capcom Cup.
Yeah, thank you.
It's right around the corner, man. I hope you're ready.
I hope to.
All right. Thank you very much, Valentin. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
All right. What do you think?
I thought it was awesome, and I think the one thing that stuck with me is they're not letting him use his jersey. They're not letting him do this. I understand where they're coming from, and I do see that. But I hope that for his sake, for someone who's trying to represent the company that's flying around the country, that he's allowed to at least wear his jersey and have the tag there. Should they elaborate on it? Probably not for the sake of Capcom, but putting YP ValMaster and letting him use the jersey, I think would be a good thing for him as a member of the team and would be a nice thing for Capcom to do.
Sure. I mean, it's like your dollar is as green as the next, right? I mean, they're putting in work. Now, we're going to transition, as we always do, into talking about certain news topics and things like that. And as always, to talk to us about those things is our Eventhubs compadre, Jonathan Velociraptor Guerrero. John, are you with us yet?
I am here. Can you guys hear me?
Hey, Velociraptor, how's it going, man? By any
Not too
chance,
bad.
did you catch the interview with ValMaster?
I saw all of it. Yeah.
Do you have any takeaways from that? Obviously, we're talking over here about the fact that he wants to use his jersey. It seems like Capcom doesn't want them to use that anywhere. They don't want to show any of that.
It's a sticky situation because
Tell me
you
about
have
it.
a sponsor right here in front of you that they're paying for him to go places, and the reason that you sponsor someone is to promote your name and everything, and so they're missing out on that. I guess it comes down. I haven't heard anything from Capcom on this, and so I guess it comes down to, I'm assuming, like a moral issue, or they're worried about an image kind of a thing. But I mean, it is a sticky situation, and there's a lot of factors that go into it.
Saying that it's a sticky situation is not some kind of joke about viewpoint, is it?
I didn't think about that, but actually, yeah, I'm going to take credit for that. Absolutely.
He made a mention of the R Street Fighter AMA that they did, and they had the team manager of Team YP, they had him, and they had Filipino Man in there, and they were all answering questions. They didn't say who, but okay, let me back up here. When we had Alex Valle on, he said there was nobody from Capcom there that could make the decision. We decided to scrap it. In the AMA, it looked like they said it was the tournament organizers' decision to scrap it, which would imply that it was Alex Valle. We don't know the truth of who it was that said yes or no, but it's definitely a contentious issue. Where do we go from here? Should it just not be allowed? I mean, at the end of the day, it's Capcom's product. They can do whatever they want, right?
If it's a moral issue from Capcom, if they're worried about it, then yes, they do get the final say. And then it goes to, I guess, then it goes to YouPorn, YP.
Team YP, right?
Yeah, Team YP. Whether or not they want to continue to, I mean, they're getting a lot of press about this.
You better believe it. Yeah, I mean, on our show, he's on the Smash Brothers thing. People are already coming up with memes, Team Yellow Pages, so that they can still have it going.
So for them, this might even be a better deal. I mean, at least in the short term right now. So it's going to be interesting to see how it plays out. But I don't know. It's like I said, it's sticky. I'm not sure exactly where I stand yet.
Okay, let's get into some of these topics, unless you had any final thoughts on the whole ValMaster situation.
I think it's mostly been said. Although I'd like to thank ValMaster for coming on the show. And I do think it's interesting that Europe has, and I think everyone from Europe has said this so far, a lot less to work with in terms of matchups. And so seeing them do well is impressive. And it doesn't surprise me that a player with less matchups to play with would like things like unblockables and dislike delayed wake up, because that's a lot easier to learn with fewer matchups. Those unblockables tend to work on multiple characters. It gives you an edge when you haven't fought a character as much before. So it doesn't surprise me to see him say that compared to, an American player with tons and tons of people to play versus.
But Donka, like, we think of, okay, here's a little thing. I used to live in SoCal, right? And people would say, oh, you get to play with Ricky Ortiz and PR Rog and the people that live in NorCal, right? And it's like, no, SoCal is a very big community, considering all the different communities that are spread out through America. But we're like 6 hours away from NorCal, and everyone associates, oh, you guys are just from California, you must play each other all the time. And then if you go worldwide, you go, oh, you guys are from America, you must play each other all the time. No, we don't. And now I'm from Arizona. We have our little collection of people, and we got a good little scene here, 20 people or so that are regulars to all our weeklies and such. But we don't get experience with everybody. And when he was talking about that, I go, yeah, these guys like ValMaster and the European guys that travel, the Japanese guys that travel, they come out to these big tournaments and they play each other, and we see them play each other a lot. But I don't know. I feel like they don't really. We all don't have that much experience against other people. I mean, against specific characters, unless you're playing online, and that's its own bag of worms or can of worms. But I don't feel like everybody in America gets to play as many characters as you might think, because if you group everyone in America.
That's totally true, and I agree with that. And I know that there are people who live blocks away from me that I don't play all the time just out of laziness. Right. But yeah, I mean, I do think that America will give you a few more opportunities to learn matchups than somewhere like France. But yes, you are right. It can't be generalized that far. And a place like California is huge enough that you're not going to drive around and play everyone everywhere.
Now, does everybody run out of excuses when Street Fighter V comes out with perfect 100% netcode and you can play against anybody?
And that's a good point, because netcode works better within country. So some American players have a better time playing other Americans within the country. It's still hard, and netcode still sucks.
Right.
But I mean, hopefully it'll be better, yeah. And hopefully
they're working on it, right?
As I said, with 16 characters or 18 or whatever the heck they have, it's less than half of what's in Street Fighter 4. I think a lot of those excuses are going to have to go away, because it's a lot harder to complain about that with that few characters and better online, hopefully.
Right. Well, speaking of Street Fighter V, we're going to move into the topics that we had prepared to talk about. And first and foremost is the controversial topic of the quote-unquote censorship of Armika and Cammy. If you don't know what we're talking about, as soon as my little hard drive boots up, you'll be able to see a little video here. Here we go. So this is what the original one looks like. Well, this is towards the end of it. But she spanks her ass. It jiggles a little. And this is the second version of it, where they just changed the camera angle on it. So again, the beta comes out. Actually, the first clip we're about to see it there? She spanks her ass. That was from the trailer. So don't tell me that, it was just placeholder animation. That was part of the presentation. The way she was introduced to the world was with that animation. There's been backlash. I mean, even on this show, I talked about how I felt a little embarrassed to be playing Armika just because, she's letting it all hang out. I did not foresee them actually changing the animation. There must have been enough backlash where they've not only taken out, at least from the camera shot of that animation where she spanks her ass, but they also, and I promise not to say that anymore, but they also edited a Cammy shot where it's like Cammy toe, if you will. I mean, it's like inappropriate. It really is like,
from
why?
Spanks her ass to Cammy.
Yeah, I know. I'm sorry, guys. I'll keep this PG from here on out. The point being, people are calling censorship and people are really upset. Is it censorship? Donka.
I'm going to start off by saying you have to look at what the word censorship means. There's no evidence that Capcom was told or forced to do this by anyone. Likely they did it by their own means, but likely there's a reason, which is that they're trying to get a lower rating. They're trying to appeal to different people who might be upset. It's not censorship, but it's obviously pushed upon them in some means, whether that be by pressure of society or whatever it is. Personally, I don't care. Personally, I don't care what Armika's doing on camera. At the same time, if it'll let them get a lower rating and make more sales, I think it's a good idea. Otherwise, I don't see why they would do it. I don't know. It's a pretty dry answer, but I don't particularly care about what Armika's doing on camera.
That's the thing. You're right. And at the end of the day, it's not like her character design itself is any different. There was an interview that Ray sent me with Brian Ayers, who is the Capcom brand manager. And in there, among things, he's talking about the future of Street Fighter V and where we're headed and all these cool things. He says, we really hope that Street Fighter V can bring in a newer, younger audience. To me, putting in ass slap shots and, what did I call that, Kamito, is a way to bring in that younger audience. Am I wrong?
You're saying it's a way to bring in the younger audience?
Yes, because, you got a bunch of...
But who buys the games for him?
Mommy?
That's exactly where I was going to go. What happens when the 12-year-old Donka, who will be Evo champion in 15 years...
Clearly, thank you.
When his mom doesn't let him get Street Fighter V because when he's playing the demo in a Target or whatever, she sees Armika slap her ass. That really, does that give anything to the game? If you take that out, have you changed the gameplay at all? Absolutely not. But one of the biggest things that we've written and that just keeps coming up as we talk and talk to Capcom, talk about Capcom, see Street Fighter V develop, is that Capcom wants to appeal to the largest audience possible. And it's interesting that you say that this is going to bring in potentially younger audiences, if I heard you right.
Yeah.
Like as an adolescent male, man, that's ages what, like 10 to 50 or whatever, you're going to appreciate the sexuality a little bit more. But at what cost? I think that moms who, like you said, are the ones buying this for their kids, or not just moms, parents in general, they don't want to see that. Like, I personally wasn't allowed to play Mortal Kombat when I was a child,
yeah,
and I
right.
was allowed to play Street Fighter.
Yeah, but you go over to your friend's house, man. That's how it works. You can't play Mortal Kombat at my house. You go over to your friend's house. He's got it. Yeah, that's the way you used to do it.
Yeah, absolutely. But I don't see why keeping this in the game. I can see why people might be upset. Oh, I don't want to see censorship and I don't want to be restricted and such. But at the end of the day, it's a better move for Capcom on the whole. And I think that it opens things up for a larger audience, and they don't have to have it. If you could argue that it's an artistic thing that supplements the game in some way, then I would have a conversation with you about it. We get down to the nitty gritty. But at this point, I see no real argument to say that we need to see like a perfect image of Cammy's lady parts every time she comes on screen. We don't need to see Mika slap her ass, because there's nothing more than just the simple titillation of seeing that sexuality.
I don't know, man. I think Ray said he's boycotting unless he can see Armika's chaps.
Yeah, I think he did say that. No, but the other thing is a couple of points here. You'll notice that when Hot Ryu came out, there was articles on Kotaku about it. Oh yeah, Hot Ryu. I'm getting, it's getting hot in here and all this, that, and the other. And it's like, yeah, cool. He looks more handsome. It's great. Is there a little bit of a what's what I'm looking for?
Oh God,
Double standard?
That's what I'm looking for. Double standard. Forget it. No, we're moving on. Doesn't matter. You're probably right. It doesn't matter. The game's going to be hopefully
hot water, fun. Man. I don't know if you want to go there, because that's like 6 other conversations that.
Well, we'll see what happens here with moving forward Street Fighter V. Now, let's change topics. There was some cool stuff that went down, and it's a trend that I've been seeing that I think is really cool, and it's basically the idea that you do a tournament in a house. And the Summit did a Smash tournament, and before we get into the topic, our boy Ian put together a little recap for us. So if you didn't know what happened, well, this is going to be a recap of all the Smash activity over the weekend, but it'll include some of this Summit stuff. So let's watch that video. Ian, take it away.
A house party and a track meet get together over drinks. What comes out? A groovy-ass weekend of Smash. I'm Ian Barker, and this is the leaderboard. First, we're kicking things off with Tipped Off 11 out in Atlanta. This tournament was like the best party that none of the cool kids went to. Drug Fox, Wizro, Professor Pro, everybody that doesn't hang out in the Jocks hallway got together to throw it down. For fans of fresh faces, this was a dream come true, with Drugged Fox taking down young Wizrobe after resetting the bracket in a 3-game sweep. As a Smash fan, watching Captain Falcon vs. Sheik was like watching The Matrix on Fast Forward. The first one, none of that Mech Warrior spitting CGI Keanu Reeves garbage. I mean, seriously, they started so great. Over in the Smash 4 Club, however, things were back to normal for TSM 0. The Once and Future King brought down ESAM in the final with Vinny and surprise contender Scat rounding out the top 4. So while the freshmen had their little LAN party, the big bad seniors gathered in Cali for the Smash Summit. Mango, Armada, PPMD, and Mewtwo King made a weekend of it with Iron Man competitions, doubles, showdowns, and tons of goofiness for the Smash community to enjoy. But when the gloves came off for the singles bracket, Beyond the Summit's house party turned into a backyard brawl. PPMD took a surprising tumble to Pluff to finish in 5th, while Mewtwo King coughed up a one-way set against Mango for 3rd. Mango went YOLO mode against Armada in the grand final, but the Swedish sniper looked downright unstoppable again. Apparently the only thing more potent than godhood in the Smash world is a Swedish passport.
All right, so you are caught up on all the Smash action. Ian, thank you very much, as always, for that awesome leaderboard video. Okay, what I wanted to bring up was this idea. We keep talking about, the potential death of the open bracket, or, new formats coming in. You have guys like CEO Jabali, who's done regular tournaments, anime tournaments. He's announced a Street Fighter V only tournament. There's a lot of room to mix up the formula. You've had things like Red Bull Kumite, which is super cool. You have the Canada Cup at the end of the year. The house tournament. A little bit of a background here on the Summit tournament. Let me see if I can get it here right. Beyond the Summit, it's a media-based company in LA that focuses on broadcasting esports content. They've done Dota tournaments. They decided to do a Smash tournament. It was cool. It looked cool. You got a bunch of dudes in a house that are like pro players having a good time. What are your thoughts on that as a potential future model for tournaments?
So we had something that wasn't quite house tournament, kind of similar in ESGN, which quickly went down, but it had the personalities more fleshed out. You got to see people spinning the wheel, talking to each other, talking trash, doing challenges and such. And I think it definitely has a large place. Me personally, I'd probably rather watch them just play, but they did that as well. Some people want to stick around after hours and watch K-Brad play versus Justin in craps. And I don't particularly know why, but some people do. And I think that it's something that we should at least try. I mean, it went so well for Smash. Why not do it here? The question is just getting people into the same room, but we've done that with the Red Bull Kumite. We've done that with Capcom Cup. We've done it with a whole bunch of things. I think there's definitely an audience there, and I can't imagine any player who wouldn't want to be invited.
So obviously this is a fighting game show, but at the Daily Dot we cover esports, and recently we went to a Hearthstone tournament in Houston called the Team Archon League Championship, the ATLC, something to that effect. And it was a Hearthstone tournament in a house, they filled it with the most popular personalities in Hearthstone. We're talking, I don't know if you guys know all these names, but Amaz, Life Coach, Trump, all these guys. The power of the personality, right? Putting them all in a room. You're right. You're talking about people that you don't care about watching them play craps, but they had the stream going 24/7 or almost 24/7, and they had a shot in the room where people were playing Mario Kart on the sides or Smash Brothers on the side. They had all these cool things, and people ate it up. And it was easy to sell when you put that many people in the room. And they had several sponsors, one of which was Amazon Prime, and they had a $250,000 prize purse.
No, I think it was 25. Or
25,000. What was it?
It wasn't 250.
I think it was about $5 billion is what they were able to get for this tournament. The point being, you can like package it and sell it, and somebody who's trying to put on a tournament might be attracted to that. The floor is yours, John. How do you feel about it?
You can also do that at a big tournament, like the more traditional one in a hotel or whatever, in a big ballroom and such, with flashy lights and a big stage and all the technology and such. I don't see this house tournament thing going very far in the coming, I don't know exactly how long it's going to take, but in the coming months or so of the FGC, simply because we've seen the bigger corporate sponsors come in, the money is going to start coming in more and more, and it's going to be more about the production and everything. Yes, these do kind of give a nod to the grassroots and to the, hey, we're all just guys and we hang out and we play in our homes and that's cool. Oh, look, these guys do too. But I think at the end of the day, the biggest draw for these kind of tournaments like Summit and such are the names. And you're going to get those names either in a house or you're going to get the names at a big event. That's what's going to get people to watch. At the end of the day, I don't think it matters if they're watching the people playing and then behind them there's some guy cuddled up like on his couch or on a chair with a blanket. I don't think that's going to be the factor in getting people to watch your stream.
Yeah, but
and I could be wrong. But.
Right. I mean, but from like a spectator perspective, you're watching it and you're like, God, I'm a fan of all these guys. I really wish. Well, how cool would it be to be in that house? You know, I feel like there's some. You know, we had a French guy on the show, a certain je ne sais quoi, right? With respects to that intangible, like that's just cool. Like they're all hanging out. They must all be friends. Oh, it must be so much fun. As opposed to the tournament where you don't see that. You just see the matches as they get streamed.
One thing I'll say is that the demographic of Street Fighter fighting game watchers has definitely been notably a little different than I'd say with other games. There's a lot more people playing and going to the tournaments as a percentage of the viewership as a whole.
Interesting.
Where you get the large outside of fighting games viewerships is EVO. EVO's numbers completely blow every other tournament out of the water on Twitch, and the people who are watching EVO that aren't watching other tournaments are generally people who aren't playing fighting games. It's people watching for the spectacle. So the question is whether those people would come for a house thing or whether it would just be, you know, your usual suspects watching a house tournament who don't particularly care whether it's a bunch of guys in a house or people at a tournament. The question is whether we can get the viewership that only comes for EVO to come for something else.
Right. So, okay, hypothetical. If there was a FGC house tournament, what game would you want to see and who would you want to see there? If we were going to build your perfect 8-man tournament, or like who would need to be there for it to be watched? I would say a guy like Infiltration would probably be cool to have in there. A guy like Xian, who we heard Justin Wong saying that he hit him up for Canada Cup. Hey, do you have a floor I can YOLO? You know, these kind of guys that have personality outside of the fighting game that are cool, right?
I was thinking me alone in Arcana Heart 3 training room.
What? I'm not sure anybody would watch that, Donka. What do you think, man? What game would it have to be? Not Team Archon over here.
I don't think it really matters. I mean, if I were to pick one right now, I'd say Street Fighter V and Daigo, because he's still one of the most notable, if not the most notable, fighting game player right now. But it's like, hey, do you want to watch Michael Jordan shoot some hoops on a playground? Yeah, everyone's gonna want to watch that. But if you don't fill that house with big names, no one's gonna want to watch it. It's not the house that people are watching for.
Here in the chat, we have Toluca Freak saying he would want Daigo, II, Infiltration, Punko, Xian, Momochi, Bonchan, Kazunoko, Snake Eyes, Mago, Fudo. Only one American on there.
Dog?
Yeah, only one
Damn.
American. Well, I mean, that would be hard to follow, considering I'm not sure all those guys speak English, but it could be fun.
You guys watch Topanga at all?
We don't. What do you want to talk to us about that?
And it's hard to, because it's on the Nico account, and not a whole lot of people here in the States have an account like that, and it's all in Japanese and such. But they're doing the Topanga. They're in the A-League right now, and it looks like it's in somebody's house. Mm-hmm. Like they're the two players sitting next to each other. There's like a white wall and some mini blinds behind them, and then the technology. And I think if you see the audience, there's like 5 or 6 people there. So it actually feels like Topanga's doing that itself right now.
So, just a quick correction here. It was $250,000 prize purse. I have
For
a
Archon,
$250,000.
I was thinking of the summit.
Oh, right. No, the Archon Team League Championship that I mentioned, the Hearthstone House Tournament, and it was in Dallas, not Houston, had a $250,000 prize purse. Okay. So, any final thoughts on house tournaments before we move on to our last topic, which was brought to us by Mr. Wizard?
I think we'll move on.
Let's move on, guys. All right. So, Mr. Wizard... you might know him as Joey Cuellar. You might know him as one of the organizers of EVO, of course. Says, it's that time of year again. Let us know your perfect EVO 2016 lineup. 7 games or less. Go, go, go. Hashtag EVO 2016. So, I mean, any tournament could just come out and say that. Why is it, off the bat, why is it relevant that EVO is saying it?
Well, of course, everyone wants their game, or at least the game they want to watch, to be at EVO. And the first thing I thought when I heard 7, they started counting off the games, and that's not enough, compared to what people were thinking would be in. Okay. I don't know if anyone minds me running it down.
By all means.
But you've got, let's ignore Street Fighter 4 for now, although most people don't want to. So you got, actually, let's include it. Street Fighter 4, Street Fighter 5, Marvel, 2 Smash games, Mortal Kombat, Killer Instinct.
And that's it.
That's already 7.
No anime.
There's no anime there, which hurts me personally. There's no variety of games that weren't there last year. I mean, and that's only if you include Street Fighter 4 alongside Street Fighter 5. I mean,
I can't imagine.
And there's no 3D either. And 3D's been there since the dawn of time, pretty much. We had Tekken 7 last year, which wasn't even out and still isn't even out outside of our arcade. So, I mean, with that list, you're excluding anime and 3D from the biggest tournament in the world. And if you take out either of those, you're excluding or you put in either of those, you're taking out one of the biggest games there is right now.
Before we get your take, John, Alex Valle tweeted this. Street Fighter, Smash, MK, and Guilty Gear has blown away other games in entrance in the past year. Everyone else needs to step that shit up. Meaning, if you want your game there, it's one thing to tweet back at Mr. Wizard. It's entirely a different thing to actually go out there and say, hey, we need to build this scene in my area and we need to show up in numbers. John.
If you're Evo, you're going to go by the numbers probably first and foremost. Now, we're talking about this, and it sounds like we're restricting EVO to being only 7 games big. And correct me if I'm wrong, but there were 2 stages last year, and there were more than 7 games at EVO. There were a whole bunch. They weren't main stage games, but they were there, and their community showed up, and they played them, right? So I think the main stage is going to go to the games with the biggest numbers, and that's going to be your Street Fighter V. And we actually did a poll, I think it was yesterday or the day before, to see at least who the Eventhubs readers, or which games the Eventhubs readers wanted to see on the EVO lineup. And we got about 7,000 responses, but there were 7 votes each. So about 1,000 people chimed in on this. That's kind of your the amount of people that we're talking about right here. But our top 7 were Street Fighter V, Street Fighter 4, Guilty Gear in number 3, MKX, Marvel vs. Capcom 3, Tekken 7, and then Killer Instinct. That's what people want, but you're not going to necessarily get that.
Now,
you're gonna see Smash.
Now, let me ask you.
You're going to see Smash, you're going to see MK.
But this is the thing, Smash. John, we were talking about Eventhubs. Is Eventhubs a destination for Smashers? Do they go to your site, or do they go to other, we got to talk about the population that we're sampling here.
Exactly. Yes, exactly.
Is that relevant there?
Yeah, there are some very centralized places for Smash players to go already, and we try to post plenty of Smash content, but I couldn't tell you that we are the main destination for Smash yet, but we're working on it. But no, taking that into account, yes, you might not see all the Smash people represented in this poll and such, of course, but essentially what I wanted to say is that it's going to go to Melee is going to be on the big stage
for sure.
Street Fighter V is going to be on the big stage. I think the biggest one that we have to question here is Street Fighter 4, because at least going by our poll, Street Fighter 4 is in second place, although it's 1 vote more than Guilty Gear, which was impressive. Oh, wow. And hey, there's your anime.
Exactly.
So,
you might have some anime.
They're not all the same, man.
Dude, you get one anime game that satisfies all anime fans.
Yeah, and then Mr. Wizard made the. You're probably already gonna have this up somewhere, but he made the Smash 4 versus Melee tweet. I think he's messing with people. I think they'll both be there. But if he has to choose one, that's a debate in of itself. Melee is probably the more popular game, ? But Smash 4 is the newer one and the one that Nintendo certainly would rather have on the stream, and they've definitely had a part in almost not having Smash on stream at all last year. So I don't know if they can pull off only having Melee.
Well, you're right, and they certainly won't have Project M on there, because that's like a straight-up kibosh on that. But speaking of dead, or let it die, we had Ali Yoon say, I hope Ultra Street Fighter 4 does not make it to EVO unless it's Edition Select or something. Let it die. I mean, would anybody entertain?
I'll let the SF4 player talk about it.
Hey, SF4 player, tell us what you think about that.
I get the idea that some people want to just make the jump to Street Fighter V, but we've spent so much time talking about how it's a totally different game, and every jump from Street Fighter to Street Fighter, it's a different game. So I don't see why they have to be in such competition. I don't expect it to be a Melee and then a Smash 4 kind of thing, where Melee just gets its just established in cement, and you're never going to move that thing, and it doesn't matter what other variations of the game or iterations come out. But there's still so much attention to Street Fighter 4. It was a mile marker in revitalizing the whole fighting game genre. In 2009, we kicked off, and we're here largely in part due to Street Fighter 4. So to simply, all right, well, thanks, man. Cab fares on the dresser. Get out of here. is terrible. It doesn't have to be the main game. It doesn't have to be on the main stage. But to say, oh, I hope it's not represented at all. Oh, I hope that they just do the edition select. I don't see why. I still think there's plenty of an audience. Yes, some will go to Street Fighter V and only do Street Fighter V. But there are so many 09ers that are not ready to give up the game, and I still think there's money to be made out of it. There's milk to be squeezed from it. So I think it would be a poor decision on any tournament's part to get rid of Street Fighter 4 until you see the numbers fall down to less, close to nothing.
And I'd have to get someone to check this for me. I don't remember if Marvel 2's last year was when Marvel 3 was currently going on. But I do remember Marvel 2's last EVO tournament with the Sanford versus Justin finale. It was pretty hype. And I personally, despite not being Street Fighter 4's biggest fan, would not mind seeing it get, the one more year. Mm-hmm. But I see the arguments both ways, and I wouldn't really care if it wasn't there either, personally. But I think I'm in the minority for that. So we'll see where it goes. I wouldn't even be surprised, to be honest, if there ends up being more than 7 games. He's put out a bunch of tweets that are very misleading at this point. So I don't really know what to say in regards to that.
And here we are talking about EVO months in advance, and now all the Smash community is upset because it was Hungrybox who was like, I don't know what you're trying to do with this question, but we show up and you should have both, and this, that, and the other. Yeah, it's like that any press, even bad press is good press, or that, whatever that saying is.
Yeah. And I'd like to elaborate on one more thing that John said, which is that there are side tournaments at EVO. I participated in the Arc Revo qualifier 3v3, and it was really fun. There was a prize pot. We got prize for getting 3rd place as a team there. First place got flown to Japan for both Guilty Gear and BlazBlue, and those tournaments were well ran, and they had their own stage brought to you by Mad Cats themselves. So, I mean, side tournaments at EVO aren't a joke anymore.
Certainly not.
They're certainly like a pretty big deal, and I wouldn't be surprised if we saw ArcSys or anime games like kind of thrown to their own stage, whether they decide to organize it like that or not.
I want to point out, I mean, we have Justin Wong in the chat here. He says Marvel 2 last tourney was 2010 and Marvel 3 was 2011. And so that's just to answer your question.
Okay.
And then he says he wants Street Fighter 4 at EVO 2016. So there you go. One of the best, most winningest, most storied American champions wants Street Fighter 4 at EVO.
And I'd like to apologize to Justin. I misspoke last week and said that he beat Justin Wong. I don't even think Justin Wong entered the tournament. So,
well, then he beat him by default. He wasn't even there to defend it.
We all beat Justin Wong at that tournament.
I beat Justin Wong at that tournament. It's crazy, man. That guy's a total free scrub. Anyway. So, I mean, again, interesting conversations happening around EVO. You're really starting to see the communities, hey, wait a second, where's my game? Where's this, that, and the other? And that's always cool to see because it lights fires under people's ass. Between that and Alex Valle telling people you got to show up, I think people might be getting motivated.
What Valle said, that's true, and you have like kind of 2 parts right here. I'll make this quick, 2 camps rather. You got the people that are like, where's my game? Why isn't it here anymore? And then you have the people, I have a friend in the community here. His name is Chris out in Arizona. He loves ST. He hates Street Fighter 4. He comes to virtually every gathering we have, and he brings his ST board, and he brings his TV, and he just has ST going. And he plays by himself until someone else comes along and plays with him. In this time that we've been playing Street Fighter 4, he's gotten a whole bunch of people to come together like, oh, I'll try it out. I'll play it a little bit. We had a tournament at our last little get-together for ST just because of Chris's just perseverance, coming every single week, bringing ST and playing it. And if you want your game at EVO, you said it earlier, you need to represent. You need to be there. And if they don't put it on the mainstream, you don't cry about it. You make a side tournament for it, and that grabs the attention. So, yeah, whine and stuff if you want, but really that's not the way to get things done.
Exactly. Well, John, that brings us to the end of round 2. Usually it's round 1 when we talk news, but we've shifted it around. I want to thank you, as always, for coming on the show. Any final thoughts on the topics from today? Anything else you want to say? Direct people to Eventhubs or anything like that?
No. Go to Eventhubs.
Absolutely. All right, John. Thank you, as always, for joining us, and we'll see you next week, man.
All right, guys. Love you, miss you. Bye.
Later. Cool. Now, guys, you asked for it. We're bringing it back. Are you ready for the weather, for El Tiempo with our compadre, Ray Chun? Wait, first let me get the video going before we cut to him. Otherwise, it won't be as cool. All right. So, Ray, take it away.
Whoa, hey, Efren. Hey, Mike. Thanks for having me here.
Hey, Ray. What's going on, buddy?
It's going pretty well. Glad to do today's daily forecast. So we got a little bit of ValMaster and a whirlwind of Luffy coming in.
Mm-hmm.
So let's take it right off. The first match we're going to talk about is at EGX, where Luffy beat ValMaster in the grand finals. And the match after that we'll talk about is the losers finals at Red Light District, I believe, where K-Brad loses to ValMaster.
And of course, we're doing ValMaster clips because we had him on the show. And again, everybody's going to get to hear it right now, but we were talking about it earlier. He does some really cool stuff in these little clips that you pulled out.
He's a really tricky man. One thing I will say for sure is that on average, every single round that I watched between these two tournaments, there were about 8 focus attacks coming out and probably 20 or more focus presses. This guy likes to focus.
All right. You ready for your first clip, compadre?
Yeah, let's go on.
All right.
So the first thing we want to talk about is Rose. She is a character with a really good backdash, and Chun-Li needs to limit her. So a way for for ValMaster to do this is to use Chun-Li's sweep, which reaches far and is option selectable on Rose's wake up. And here we see Luffy getting punished for this.
And for the less Street Fighter inclined, this is done by manipulating the way hit stun and lack of hit stun works.
You're talking about an option select?
Yes, an option select here where if that move was blocked, the input for standing heavy or crouching heavy, her sweep, would have come out while she was blocking the air attack because that causes the game to freeze a little bit. But because it whiffed, the game moved faster, did not freeze for the hit stop, and instead the sweep comes out. So it would come out only in the case that she backdashes or does an invincible move.
How do you actually input that?
It's actually extremely simple because it's the same regardless. You do your jumping heavy, and then in the time where you would land if it whiffs, you enter down heavy kick for the sweep.
Okay.
And then you normally input another button to time in case they blocked it. So like a down jab, and the down jab won't come out during down heavy's animation.
Okay. You ready for the next clip, compadre?
Yes, right on. So Rose is a character that can throw a projectile, and Chun-Li needs to get around this. What can Chun-Li do? Well, she has a special move called Hizanshu, in which she will flip around and dodge the projectile and land a hit. This is also comboable from certain distances and certain hits. So we'll see ValMaster employ this a couple more times later.
All right, you ready for your next clip?
Yeah, let's get on to it.
All right.
All right. Another thing about Rose, she can reflect fireballs. It's pretty strong. Now, look at this. ValMaster's going to throw out a fireball. Rose is going to reflect it, and he's going to jump over it with his Hizanshu. Talk about nifty.
So, of course, fireball characters or people who can chuck plasma need to be aware of the fact that the reflect is there. In this case, he's on that next level of Yomi. He's wanting the reflect to come out so that he can bait it or get that punish. Is that what's going on there?
Totally. And we saw Bonchan do something similar versus Luffy himself earlier in the year. By utilizing her reflect to gain the fireball back, you can do various things. Reflect has recovery, so he can Hizansho over the fireball that he gave Rose. In Bonchan's case, he threw the fireball, reflected it, and then used focus backdash it in order to gain Ultra Meter, which he later comboed off of an EX fireball. So while reflect is an incredibly strong move and gives her a very low recovery fireball and takes away the other person's, it can be used against them if red. Now, this can be countered by using the light fireball version instead.
Because it launches in a different direction,
Well,
right?
the heavy one would launch in a different direction, which would be a very hard read. The light one will absorb it instead. So there's options around it, but this was a very, very clever play.
And, is this a setup, or is this a read, or is this a reaction?
It's almost certainly a read. He threw the fireball expecting it to get reflected. And he did say that they don't play often, but they've played at tournaments before, so I'm assuming that he had an idea that the reflect would be used there on the fireball.
Cool. All right, Ray, you ready?
Yeah, talking more about reads, let's talk about how Chun-Li is going to punish this jump with close fierce kick. And now, close fierce kick is not really a move you'll see Chun-Li's use too much, but it is really useful in catching people out of the air at a close distance, such as this.
Yeah, the one interesting thing to note about this is that close normals have been taken out of Street Fighter V.
What do you mean?
So there's a proximity where either Chun-Li will get her far standing roundhouse or her close standing roundhouse.
There's no close normals?
There are 0 close normals
I had
in
not
Street Fighter
noticed that.
V. They are all done via command.
Okay.
So timing such as this, like very precise timings to catch people over your head, are pretty much gone, and stuff like this is going to be a lot easier.
You know, from my own experience with T-Hawk, his close medium punch hits up and it's an anti-air, and I always wished that had been a command normal, and it wasn't. So now all those moves will be command.
Your wish is granted, man.
Thanks, man. I didn't even have to, rub the lamp or anything. Thanks for Street Fighter V. All right, Chief, what's next?
Next up, we got another way for ValMaster to punish Rose. So, if you pay attention really closely here, you'll see Rose on the replay use her standing roundhouse, which is a move that angles out way past and can catch Chun-Li backdashing. Chun-Li and ValMaster are both very backdash heavy people. So what's the most likely thing that ValMaster is going to do here? He's going to backdash. And you see it start up, but knowing this, it's kind of like a anti-meta game. Like, I know what you're going to do, so I'm going to do something to counter that. So ValMaster is going to throw out crouching medium kick, which links into his combo, the bread and butter, to get that fierce punch. And that's one of the only ways he can get this bread and butter off.
And again, it's based off of a read. Rose was expecting a backdash. ValMaster apparently looked like he knew that he was expecting a backdash and instead stays put and does the crouching medium.
I mean, I might be giving this guy too much credit, but I think that's exactly what he was going for here.
Okay, moving on in this matchup. What else we got?
All right, so later we're going to move on to another match in this set where Chun-Li is going to punish Rose with the crouching fierce punch, which is a double hitting move that hits and moves Chun-Li forward very slightly. What I want to pay attention to here, though, is that Chun-Li walks forward for maybe half a second before he uses this attack. And this is just ValMaster knowing 100%, hey, I'm going to be able to walk forward. He's not going to press buttons and maybe try to backdash or jump back.
What's interesting to me is that, lightning legs didn't come out. I figured he would have option selected with lightning legs in the case that it was a counter hit setup. But what this might mean is because he didn't do that, he expected to hit aerially, as Ray said, expected to hit a backdash, in which case the lightning legs may have been unsafe. So this was probably an option to cover both the mash and the backdash and be safe without canceling the lightning legs.
Okay. Would you agree with that, Ray?
I 100% agree.
All right, next clip.
All right, Rose is that character that if you're in the corner, it just sucks when she has Ultra 2. Because she can do these tricky things where the orbs will fly around, you'll get hit by the level 3 focus, or you might be like, oh my god, what do I do? Well, ValMaster has a very interesting setup right here. He is going to wait for the very last second and use a normal spinning bird kick, which is probably the most unused special in the game.
Now, it connects and it stops the orbs, but does it do armor breaking?
Yes, it armor breaks, which is exactly why he does this. And unknowingly, or maybe knowingly, he's going to get punished for it because all the hits will not connect, in which Rose is in this state where she can recover from the air. But, I mean, it's just to sit down like that for 2 seconds and to know, hey, this is my chance, I need to break this armor, that's pretty amazing to me.
So is it kind of like a situation where I could sit there and eat this focus and then get a full combo done on me, or I could break that focus and then eat a little bit of a punish, but not as bad?
Yeah, I think it's just quick thinking on his feet, and it was probably the best move he could have done here. Mike?
Now, what's interesting to note is that I believe, and someone correct me if I'm wrong, you actually cannot be focus unblockable while you are in block stun of one of her orbs. So some people will walk forward a tad bit and then block one of the orbs so that the level 3 focus will actually just go and not unblockable them at that point. That's like a fail safe in the game to stop these setups from being too strong on meaties with characters without reversals. But the spinning bird kick was smart. It didn't work out perfectly because he got hit by the orb. But the multiple hits of the spinning bird kick will, trump the armor.
Very interesting. Very interesting. Okay, let's see. What is our next clip, Ray?
All right, the next part, I want you to pay attention to the time. We were starting the last round at 60 seconds, and now this one's at 12. ValMaster has been pretty much turtling it out, and for him to finally use his Ultra in a situation like this, that's just plain amazing. All right, so you see, the nice thing about a charge character is that they always have to charge for any kind of special move they want. A neat trick that you can do as a charge character is charge your focus, backdash, or forward dash, and then do the motion for the Ultra, and it will still come out if you do it within a few frames of the allotted time. Mike, you want to elaborate on this a little bit more?
Yeah, so basically, I mean, you explained it pretty well. The motion for Chun-Li's Ultra is back, forward, kicks after a charge. While holding the focus attack, if instead of pressing back, forward, you press back, forward, or back, forward really fast, you'll get those two back motions within the time you're focusing, and you'll get a backdash during the Ultra motion. So back, is a backdash. It's just a goofy way of doing it. So yeah, if you're quick on the input, and I'm sure he's practiced it a million times, you can buffer your charge during a focus attack.
Interesting. Hey, somebody in the chat was wondering, I know you mentioned at the top, but what tournament is this replay from?
This is from EGX 2015.
Okay, so we're going to leave that tournament and go to our last clip, and he's no longer facing his paisan from France. That's Italian, isn't it?
It definitely is.
What are we going to see now, Ray?
We're going to see the Stone Cold Killer, K-Brad. Sorry, I always wanted to use that. So, ValMaster is in a really sticky situation. I'm sorry, but he's in the corner. Cammy has incredible pressure. It just doesn't look good. I mean, what can Chun-Li do? Well, Chun-Li can mash normals. And this is exactly what ValMaster is doing. And then this is the funniest part of it all. He backdashes to give her space that, oh, okay, she's just going to walk off because she's scared that I'm going to press buttons and get beat up. But ValMaster's like, nah, I'm just going to Hazanshu. You know, Cammy doesn't really have any projectiles, so what's the point? Well, the point is that Cammy is actually going to throw out her sweep, which is by then countered by Hazanshu into this really, really hard combo to do.
Now, okay, we'll get into the hard combo, but first, certainly ValMaster did not see that sweep and react with Hazanshu, because it looks like the Hazanshu comes out almost immediately before.
You have to predict that, or you just, maybe he just wanted to go in and was like, I don't want to sit back because whatever. But I do think that little spacing, that amount of time that he was just from here to here and then all the way back was great, because that doesn't give K-Brad much time to think. This gives ValMaster the chance to, execute on any opportunity he gets, and maybe by pure luck he got it right there. And he uses all of his meter, all of his Ultra. You'll see all the bars just go away, and he does like Chun-Li's favorite combo in the corner, and he gets the match.
Now they at one point they buffed the hell out of that Ultra 2, didn't they? Chun-Li's? Or is it her Ultra 1?
They made Ultra 2 invincible so that it could be used as an anti-air, which wouldn't really apply in this situation. I'm not sure if they changed the damage. A quick correction, that was actually Cammy's stand roundhouse.
Oh, okay, right.
Oh,
which
sorry about that.
Is useful to know because a lot of Cammy's pokes are pretty low to the ground. Her stand roundhouse or crouching forward or crouching jab. So his Hazanshu is more likely to crush them as an overhead move and get the counter hit set up that allowed him to get the game. He definitely uses his Hazanshu a lot in those types of situations, and it makes sense. It's safe on block. It's an overhead, which typically isn't its use, and it links into a combo on hit, a pretty strong one, especially in the corner.
I believe that's the end of our clips, isn't it?
Yeah.
Now, do you want to try your power up move, and we'll transition back into the best of three logo?
All right, we're powering up.
Okay, power up for us, buddy.
All right.
It's done. We did it already. We transitioned. And that brings us to the conclusion of round 3. Guys, we want to thank you very much for joining us on this episode of Best of 3. Shout outs to Ray for his awesome weather report. I think that was Hazanshu with a side of comebacks. We put on this show every week, and we hope that you guys like it. We'd like for you to subscribe to the channel, go to our YouTube channel, and subscribe to that as well, because it helps us, and it lets us know that you like what we're doing. Now, last week, a lot of people said, we like the green screen, but please work on it because that was a little bit rough. And we did. We worked on it. Ray was in here making sure it was looking good. So we're interested in making this product better for you guys, but we want to hear from you as well, of course. So again, shout outs from the Daily Doc crew to our audience. I'm your host, Efren Salinas. As always, Miguel, Donka,
And,
Schiller.
and just as a note, let us know what you liked and didn't like. Always ask questions in the chat if you're here, because we kind of read them sometimes.
yeah, I mean, sometimes they're going by fast, but we got guys that are sending them to us, so we can definitely look into that. Again, shout-outs to Ray, our producer, shout-outs to Josh, our director, and shout-outs to Will, our technical director. I'm a friend. This is Mike. Thanks for watching, guys.